Are you tired of feeling like your days are wasting away, consumed by doom scrolling and an endless number of distractions? Well, I want you to know that you're not alone. And perhaps it's not even your fault. In today's digital era, we're exposed to more information than we were ever meant to handle, and that's left us with a ton of chaos and confusion, a lack of direction, ultimately this unsettling sense of feeling like we're wasting our life away. But it doesn't have to be like this. And with these 3 strategies, I truly believe we can change that today. My name is Jun Yu. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. I want to talk about why purposeful living in this era is so important. You see, everything in our society runs on a currency called attention. You see, every algorithm that we know of, whether it be social media, whether it be advertisements, are based on one metric, which is your retention time. It's how long are you willing to stay attended to a certain content piece. And that is not inherently evil, but if you can't attend to you first, if you can't be aware of where you're at and where you want to be, if you can't ask yourself the hard-hitting questions of, why am I doing this in the first place? What makes me feel fulfilled? What is my purpose? Then that would lead to us being a little bit more vulnerable to being bought. And I don't want that for you. I don't want you to be dictated by societal expectations. I want you to be able to live a life that you want to live, and it starts internally first. So let's look at how to have a purposeful living with these 3 strategies. If you've clicked on this video, I know that you're a lot like me, somebody that has great ambition, senses potential, isn't afraid of working hard, but deathly afraid of putting our effort in areas that won't matter in the long run or be fruitful, right? And in that case, we crave guidance. But I grew up in an immigrant household where my parents didn't speak the language, didn't go to college, and we always struggled financially. So that type of advice was very few and far between. So that meant that I was alone. So for the last 7 years, I spent researching and working extremely hard, making a ton of really expensive mistakes, by the way, and aim to develop this future for myself. And today I am so blessed, and all glory to God, and so grateful for your guys' support along that process, where I can say that I've reached a level of success that I could have never ever imagined me having, and I've been able to help my family in a capacity I didn't know was possible, especially at this age, and that's been the most rewarding part of it all. And I've packaged that guidance now in this new project called The Winning Formula for Self-Growth. In it, you'll find 50 plus highly produced videos separated by modules and classes with a ton of resources along the way. Specifically, you will have the best Notion templates created by incredible developers that look just absolutely amazing, by the way. And you will also have access to a very exclusive community of like-minded people, including myself and my team, where we'll be taking on a 60-day challenge together. So by the end of this, you will have such a strong foundation of knowledge along with a very comprehensive set of plans to have success in business and personal branding, and having exceptional academic success and building prospective careers and being more productive and developing the right type of relationships, along with developing yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually in all the areas that matter. And I'm so excited for this. If this sounds interesting to you at all, you can join the waitlist, where you will have exclusive information first, and also some exclusive offers too when it gets released. So I hope that excites you as much as it excites me. And with that being said, let's get into the rest of the video. The first step is to understand where our distractions are coming from. And let's face it, the most obvious ones for us today are our phones. And that's why it leads us into our very first strategy of a social media detox. And when I say detox, I believe people immediately jump to long stints of time where they have deleted the app and they're no longer using it at all. But actually, when I'm talking about a detox, I think that there are smaller steps that we can take that are boundaries that set us up for having a healthier relationship with our phones, because I think that's possible, right? I am never somebody that says that a phone is inherently evil, that social media is inherently evil. No, I would never say that. I think there's a lot of really great usages of it, but can we do it with a level of intention? I believe the answer to that is yes. But But instead of just telling you, hey, no longer use your phones or be a little bit more restrictive of it, I want to go over some really practical tips for you very quickly and hopefully be able to show you the importance of them as well. The first one that has worked really well for me that I don't see many people adopt is to reduce the visual stimuli by putting your phone on grayscale mode. Whether you have an iPhone or an Android, I know that it's possible on both types of devices, but really it takes away the stimulus, the addictive component of it, where when I'm scrolling on TikTok or Instagram and it's in grayscale mode, there's really not necessarily a desire for me to continue. And so that's just a great way for me to set a boundary with my phone, especially if I know that I need to get work done, but I had to have my phone with me for some reason. Yeah, I know that I might be a little bit tempted to use it, but if I already had it on grayscale mode before I entered that work session, I know that I'm going to, even if I use it, not do it for long. The second is to disrupt the habit loop by using a separate alarm clock than your phone. What happens a lot is when we have our phones as our main alarm source, what we'll do is snooze it, then go on our phones and try to catch up on the latest sports news or go through social media, and we find ourselves in this doom scroll. And that can be a horrible way to start our days. And I've talked a lot about that in my morning routine video, but in general, the idea of disrupting this habit loop of going from your alarm clock to your social media apps, you can stop that by just literally having a physical separate alarm clock. And that way you can put your phone in a completely different room, or you can put it out of reach and be able to start your day on the right footing. The third is to create additional friction by adding your apps, your most used apps specifically, in folders, and you can even do subfolders, right? It's one thing to have your Instagram, your TikTok in that bottom easy to access icon set where it's larger and it's easy to click them. But if you have them in folders and it's a little bit harder to get to them, you have another opportunity to tell yourself, wait, hold on a minute. This is not what I should be doing, right? Not only does it reduce the desire because you don't want to be going through all those folders, but really it does give yourself another second or two to say, wait, I don't want to be on this right now. Sometimes when it's so immediately accessible for us, we click on it without even giving ourselves the chance to keep ourselves accountable. And then we're stuck doom scrolling again, and we don't want that. The fourth is to repurpose your phone. And something that's worked well for me is actually recording myself while I study. And you know that a lot of my content has me doing that. But if I do have my phone around me, instead of using my phone as a source of distraction, I simply keep myself accountable with it because I'll record myself, or sometimes I'll FaceTime a study buddy, and that keeps me away from using my phone as a distraction source and instead an accountability source. And number 5, you have the use of apps that limit your phone usage. There's an app called Freedom, and that's going to restrict how much access you have to the internet for a certain period of time. And that also helps you when you know that you definitely can't access it. Of course, you still have the basic phone functions that you need if you need to text somebody or call somebody, but you know for sure that you won't be able to access social media for an hour or 2 hours. So you completely eliminate that temptation. And number 6 is an interesting one. It's to change your mindset from a consumer to a creator. This has done wonders for me, and it's completely changed my perception on social media. It's made it a tool that adds to my life instead of detracting from my life. You see, I love to come up with new ideas and transform it into a video format and then release it in hopes that I can inspire some of you in this incredible community. But because I recognize the positive benefits of it, I can reach people that I couldn't otherwise reach and be able to spread an encouraging message. That's incredible, right? And I know that more of you guys can do that. I understand that there's a great need for more good people to utilize social media in the right way. So if that's something that you're interested in, I would always encourage you to do so. So those are 6 ways that you can immediately start to detox from your phone or start to create healthier relationships with your phone, and I hope that you apply them. Step number 2 is to track your progress, and you must do this on an external source. That's a non-negotiable, and I'll speak to how you can go about doing that here in a little bit, but I want to first start off with why I'm telling you this in the first place. You see, too often we have the wrong perception of what self-growth is. And I believe it's because we consume content through social media, but what we view is the final end product of somebody that's made it. And that makes us associate self-growth with something being completely linear, as something that's always consistent or projecting upwards. When the reality of the matter is, that's not how life works, right? It's not going to be pretty. It's actually going to be really hard at times. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs. And so if we set those expectations that are unrealistic for ourselves, it sets us up for failure, right? So a specific example of this, if you are doing the 3-win model challenge with us, where you're getting your mental wins, your physical wins, and your spiritual wins on a daily basis, what happens a lot is the students or the people that are taking on this challenge will do really well for the first 2-3 weeks, because there's a lot of inspiration, there's a lot of motivation, and then something in their life makes it challenging for them. So they might go a few days without accomplishing their 3 wins. And it makes them feel like, especially if they're keeping all that information in their head, that all of the progress, all of the momentum that they've built, all of the work that they've done was made for nothing, because in their head, they thought that the only way to have success is to be completely linear, is to always be consistent every single day. When actually, if you have an external source, it allows you to get a bird's eye view, to view the big picture and tell yourself, you know what? Yes, I might have had a few bad days, but I actually was pretty consistent prior to that. You know what? I'm actually a better person today than I was before I started the challenge. So that means something. That's progress, right? That's real success. And if you can keep that type of perspective on your journey, knowing that it won't always be perfect, but you will try your best. And even if you fall, you'll pick yourself back up. An external source allows you to view that on a regular basis. And I think that there are really good ways to go about tracking your progress externally. I believe a journal is a really great opportunity, because it allows you to create distance between you and your thoughts. So not only are you able to track the specific wins, but you can also be able to account for how you feel. And when you can reflect on that after a month's worth of work, it's really a gratifying feeling that you get. Moreover, I really do believe that being able to use an external source, even if it's your Apple Notes or if it's your Notion templates, when you can gamify it, when you can start to see some of those checks, when you can start to see that progress bar build up, it also makes it a lot of fun. And then of course, you can also have an accountability partner. I don't necessarily think that you should solely rely on an accountability partner, but when you can have a community of like-minded individuals that are on your same type of journey, and you can send them a photo of you having done your run, or you can go about telling them, hey, I just did my scripture reading, or hey, I just did this volunteer work, and being able to show that to somebody, and if they're on the same page as you, it can also be a great way to be able to stay consistent in the long run, also make it a little bit more enjoyable too. And I've been doing that recently too with my 30-mile daily runs. I will text my brother, I will text my coach my times, and it's become this habit of mine, and it's made this process a lot more enjoyable. So be sure to track your progress and growth. Number 3 is to master making schedules. I believe every single person will benefit from having a good schedule. Emphasis on good, because making schedules is a skill that's not taught to us in school and definitely doesn't come easy to many of us. So perhaps you're on the side of, hey, June, I've created schedules in the past, it didn't work for me, so I stopped. Or perhaps you're on the side of, I'm actually a very spontaneous person and a schedule is too rigid. Whatever side you're on, I believe I can change your mind if we can start off with some of these foundational components. So the first step is to definitely audit your day. Without scheduling it, look at how you're spending your time. And I don't mean to say that the only way you can be productive is by scheduling every minute of your day and doing work throughout that period. No, not at all. But if you can take back even just 30 minutes in areas that you're being inefficient or you're being lazy or lackadaisical or careless, that can make a huge difference in your life. Think about putting forth 30 minutes each day towards your goals. That's a big, big deal. And so when you can audit your day, you have a better awareness of how that time is spent so that you can start to make better decisions moving forward. And number 2, schedule time for rest and play. This one I found is so important, especially for me, because I used to be somebody when I would spend time with my friends or my family, or I would even sleep in, that I was feeling guilty in that moment. And so my brain was working on overtime, was working twice as hard because I was in the moment doing something, but I was feeling guilty at the same time. and I wasn't able to reap the restorative benefits of what those tasks are supposed to do. I say tasks, but whatever experience I'm in, that's supposed to be positive for me, but it was actually taking away from me. And so when you can schedule time for rest and play, you don't have to feel guilty when you're in the middle of it, right? And when you proactively do it, you know that you can afford to spend that time so you can be present with the people around you and actually enjoy these experiences. Number 3 is to give yourself enough time. I found people not necessarily understanding that task switching, along with, of course, a lot of practical things like commuting, take time in between each task, okay? And so you should not be scheduling back to back without giving yourself any buffer. And when you do that, what happens is you usually in your first few tasks, your big tasks, you're not able to accomplish them in time, and it ruins the rest of your schedule, and then you're not able to be as productive or as successful as you would have liked that day, and then that tends to ruin your day afterwards because it's not being able to be completed in time, right? That's not what we want. So if you're just starting out with creating schedules for yourself, literally carry around a timer, just use your phone stopwatch to have a better understanding of how long certain tasks take, and then be able to learn how to create boundaries where if things are taking overtime, you have to be able to say, hey, I actually have something planned right after this. I need to be able to end here, but I'm more than happy to pick up another time. And so be able to give yourself more than enough time for those tasks so you're not feeling completely rushed. The fourth that I want to talk about is learn how to prioritize and execute, right? Just because it's something on your to-do list, it's not actually going to have a difference in your life, right? You have to learn how to put those to-dos into a schedule, and to be able to do that, you have to learn how to prioritize which ones are actually going to move the needle for you, and then schedule those, right? Because so many times we get caught up with doing a lot of these minuscule tasks that don't necessarily move the needle that day, and then we find ourselves not being able to accomplish those things that do actually matter. So an example of this for me was this past Saturday, where I knew that I had 2 main objectives. The first one was I had to clean my apartment, but the second one was I had to write this technical document for one of the projects that I'm involved in. And because I thought it was a great way to start this Saturday and thought that it was the easier task between the two, I just started cleaning my apartment. And when I was doing that, of course, I would find more things to clean throughout that process. And by the time that I was done cleaning, I was too tired to be able to take on the technical writing. Whereas in reality, that technical writing was way more important. The small things that I was doing to clean out my apartment wasn't necessarily going to make a big difference. And I could have easily done that when I was a little bit more tired. So I should have prioritized my technical writing, and I should have spent the majority of the day doing that. And then afterwards, when I don't need as much cognitive effort, then I can go clean my apartment. And even if I want to spend a little bit longer, I can do that. But even that is a small example of how a lot of us tend to live our lives, right? Because we have all these things in our mind that we know that we have to do, we don't know how to prioritize them. And what we tend to do is do the easy things first, when in reality, that puts us in a bad situation by the end of the day where we feel like we weren't productive. And it's because we're not doing the things that actually move the needle. So instead of spending your day doing many trivial things, if you actually changed your perspective and even did one thing that was going to move the needle for yourself and prioritize that daily, you would find that it makes a large difference in your life. And for me, that's my peak productivity window in the morning. I know that 90-minute, 3-hour window is always leveraged for my most demanding tasks, and I will never ever go a day without doing it, because I know that that's how I move the needle on a daily basis, right? So figuring out ways to actually prioritize and execute is extremely, extremely important. And with that being said, that will wrap up the 3 practical strategies that you can immediately implement if you're looking to live a more purposeful life. If you can have a healthy relationship with your phone, if you can track your progress and growth, and if you can master making schedules, you're well on your way to living a life that's fulfilling to you, not something that's put onto you as expectations from others, not being lost in this chaotic digital era that we're in. And I hope that this video was helpful to you in some capacity. If you have any questions at all, please leave them in the comments below. I'm more than happy to answer them. Give this video a thumbs up, and of course, subscribe. So until next time, please take care, and I love you guys so much.